Oh my god. It's like eating Snickers ice cream. And the crust is good.
Alright, let's get started. First thing, I gotta get my processor out, and I'm putting some graham crackers in there. Gonna crumble those up. This is working on the crust first. And the recipe I'm using, I will put it down below in the description. It's one I found online. It's a prize-winning recipe from this guy. He says he's won just about every contest he's entered for this Instant Pot cheesecake. And I've made it before, but this is the first time that I'm going to, quote unquote, Buffietize it. And this is a KA, I think it's a 9-cup food processor. I love this thing. I also have a 3-cup, and I'll be bringing that out a little bit later on. And we had some leftover Christmas cookies. That's what I'm putting in. These are some butter cookies. It was just butter cookies, French butter, and it was some other kind of butter cookie. So I'm putting those in there. My sister didn't like them. They tasted okay to me, but you know, we try not to waste food. So whenever we can, I'm just reusing it. And I Googled and I was like, hey, what can you do with leftover cookies? And they were like, crumble them up and bake with them. So I'm going to Buffetize this cheesecake. That's just one way I'm Buffetizing it. Stay tuned and you'll see the other way. Which I will admit I almost forgot to do the second part. So the very, like, talk about 12th hour, 11th hour. That's what I did. I checked it. It wasn't crumpled up enough. I had to make it keep it wrong. And this is just my take on a Snickers cheesecake. Typically, when I've seen Snickers cheesecakes or cherry or strawberry cheesecakes, they put the topping on top. I'm going to put a twist on it. So now I have in there some brown sugar, and I'm mixing in some of the crumbs. But I forgot a step, or not a step, but an ingredient. And now I'm just crumbling up some of this is light brown sugar. I just want to make sure that gets incorporated with the crumbs. And my hands are clean. I am never in the kitchen with dirty hands, especially with this recipe because it's really hands-on. So I highly suggest that you don't be in there cooking with dirty hands either. That's just gross. I'd add a little bit more. I like a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot of crust, but I do like a good amount of crust on my cheesecake. And sometimes the way the cheesecake batter mixes in with that crust, oh man, that's better than just the cheesecake part of the mixture. And this is what I forgot. I wanted to use some pretzels. I did a video on the Rolo pretzel kit, and I had some leftover pretzels. And I said, hey, we're not going to let them go to waste, so throw them in here. Put them in the food processor. And I ended up making 2 batches of the graham cracker, pretzel, and cookie crust or whatever. And I'm going to use it for another recipe, maybe for some 7-layer cookies or maybe another cheesecake. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit more of the crumb batter to here for the crust. And this one has some of the pretzels in there. The crust also calls for adding a little pinch of salt, but in the melted butter. But I figured with the pretzels, I already have enough salt, so I didn't add that pinch of salt. And I did taste it, and it was salty enough. Now I'm just mixing it up a little bit. You just want to incorporate the butter in there. And you want the mixture to be, what should I say, pliable enough so that you can, when you put it in the pan that you're going to be making your cheesecake in, you can mold the mixture up a little bit. Now I'm done mixing it up. I'm going to go get the actual Springform Pan I'm going to make it in. And this is think it's Big Daddy or Big Daddy-O. I bought it off Amazon a few years ago. I remember I'll put the link. You can use it though, and if you want to buy one, because they work excellently in the Instapot. Now it's just a matter of pouring it in there and then working it around. Use your hands again. Don't be in the kitchen with dirty hands, because again, this is very hands-on. Because you got to work that crust around and make a form around that bottom of that pan and up the sides. This does make a really big cheesecake, which I love. Very first time I made it, I didn't realize it was going to be as big as it was, but it was so good. And I've made it several times since. And see how I'm working it around, pressing it down in the bottom and then up on the sides. And see how it sticks together. It's not crumbling, falling apart into crumbs. That's the texture you want from that melted butter. And the recipe calls for half a stick of melted butter. I actually use that plus another tablespoon, and I'm pointing out the pretzels that you can see in there. Now that goes into the freezer while you're making up the batter. That's some sugar. Gonna put some cornstarch in there. And I will admit, the very first time I made this, I was like, cornstarch in cheesecake? But hey, it works. It works. 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And I tell you, whenever I'm working with cornstarch, that stuff goes everywhere. Argo, I think that's like the top brand of cornstarch, at least in my area, and I love that stuff. Just checking out the recipe, getting it out of the way again. Now it's 2 pinches of salt. 1, 2. And there's the sour cream. I usually have Kroger brand sour cream, but this one was on sale, so the Daisy. So I said, hey, I'll get Daisy. Really couldn't tell the difference. I mean, sour cream, right? But I am a firm believer in get what's on sale. And that's why I bought Daisy over Kroger at the time I bought it. Stuff is too expensive nowadays to maintain brand loyalty. So I'll get what's on sale. Now, I think the recipe calls for a teaspoon of vanilla, but I love vanilla. Firm believer, you can never have too much. So I put in 2 tablespoons of vanilla. And the recipe instructions say to put everything in there but your eggs and mix it up. And then you add your eggs at the end, one at a time. So you put 1 egg in, let it mix for a little while. Then you add your other egg and let it mix. But again, the eggs are put in at the very end. And now what I did, I cheated with the Philadelphia cream cheese. Instead of letting it sit out and soften on the counter, I actually put it in the microwave for a little bit. And now, because it was taken directly out of the fridge, and it would have been too hard to work with the mixer. So that's why I softened it in the microwave. And I'm just breaking it up into bits. And it calls for 16 ounces or 2 bricks of the Philadelphia cream cheese. And it just says cream cheese, but I that's one thing. I will try to buy the brand name on that one because it goes on sale quite often. But I have bought a Walmart brand and Kroger brand cream cheese whenever the Philadelphia rarely is not on sale. Now we're just going to mix all this together. I love my KA. You know, my mom grew up, she was a great baker, and she had the handheld mixer. And my sister and I often say, what if she had a KA? Oh, my goodness. And I'm bringing it over a little bit closer to the camera so you guys can see it mixing. And yes, I'm wearing my Grinch apron again. Love the Grinch. And this is when I was like, oh crap, I forgot an ingredient. This is why I wanted to Buffietize it. So I didn't want to get my 9-cup KA food processor because I still had the rest of the crumbs in there, the crust. So I had to go get my 3 cup. Hated that because there's something else I have to wash, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. And for anybody who's beginning to bake into the kitchen, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to forget stuff. You just got to roll with it, improvise. I'm not a professional baker. And if you're starting out, more than likely you're not either. But don't give up. Just keep going. And what that is 5 regular sized Snicker bars. And I took the wrappers off, put them in there, broke them up in like 3 pieces and put them in there. And now I'm letting the food processor do the work for me. And I initially wanted to do 6 candy bars, but I couldn't find the 6 candy bars, so I just went with 5 because I'm pressed for time. I want to get this, in the Instapot and cooking. No, I was kind of struggling to open it. I don't use my food processors too often, so I forget how to set it up and take it apart sometimes. But again, if that happens to you, just go with the flow. You'll figure it out. Don't get stressed. Don't, get upset. And whenever I'm taking stuff apart, I do like to unplug it first. Safety first, whenever possible in the kitchen, well, in anything. Now, like I said earlier, I've seen the Snickers cheesecakes before and they would put the Snickers topping on top. I wanted to try something different. I wanted to make Buffy's version of a Snickers cheesecake, so I'm putting it all in there. And it was divine intervention because when I put it in there, I was like, wow, I think that might be, if it's possible, too much candy. But former fat kid that I am, nah, it's not. And I decided to incorporate it a little bit with my spatula before I turned the KA on. Now I'm turning the KA on to do the brunt of the work. And I'm telling you, I wish we had smell-o-vision because it already smells like a cheesecake. And now it smells like a chocolatey cheesecake. And there's my first egg. And this first egg, man, I got the yolk in there okay, but the white, it was just like, I don't want to come out of the shell. So I'm kind of trying to maneuver and get it in there without getting any shells in the batter. And thankfully it worked. I know it looks like I'm so close and I'm going to knock some shells in there, but I didn't. I'm letting that mix a little bit. Just a few seconds till you see the yolk and the whites have incorporated. Now I'm doing the second egg. Again, it only calls for 2 large eggs. Moving the recipe out of the way. Checking it again. Bringing my Instapot in. This is a 6-quart Instapot. And you must get spare rings for your Instapot because you keep using the same one, they will get a funky odor. So I have like 4 different colors. So I just got the crust out of the freezer. Look, I almost dropped my Instapot top. Grabbed my heart, it was almost a big one. Just mixing the batter up a little bit more. And now I'm just going to pour it in there. And you do have to put a cup of water in your Instapot. You can never use an Instapot for pressure cooking without some kind of liquid in there. And this called for a cup. I think I ended up putting a cup and a half just to be on the safe side. And I tell you, it took all this former fat kid had in her, former fat kid, not to start eating that batter because it smells so good. Because I love cheesecake. Oh my goodness. So you're combining two of my loves, Snickers and cheesecake. It was like, man, oh man, a Chevy. How can I not eat this? And I was like, well, be good. That was Redbone walking by. And I try to get as much as my batter in whatever thing, what I'm cooking it in, the pan, the bundt pan, in this case, the Springform Pan. Don't waste anything. Now I did spray the sides of the pan, the Springform Pan, with some Pam. And the bottom, I did cover it with parchment paper. And you put it in there in the Instapot. And I'm going to bring the camera closer so you'll see me setting it up. And it's 26 minutes on high pressure. You turn the keep warm option off. And it will cook for the 26 minutes. And then you need to time it to let it naturally release the pressure for 10 minutes. And then that's when you'll take it out. There's the finished product. Now, it is going to have a little excess water on it, so you dab it out, dab that water off with a towel, or pour a little bit of it off, but be careful because you don't want to spill your cheesecake. And I thought I was filming that part when I was doing that, dabbing the water off, but my dumb behind didn't have the camera on. So in that little bowl, I'm putting 2 heaping tablespoons of the sour cream and some sugar, and that's your topping. And I just like to mix that up, and hopefully you'll hear it. You'll hear the crystals of the sugar in the bottom. So I keep stirring until I don't really hear that too much. You hear that grating? That's the sugar crystals at the bottom. And again, I just try to stir until I don't hear that anymore. And then you just put it on there and spread it around. Again, I try to get as much of the batter or the topping or whatever I'm working with out. I try not to waste anything. Now I'm just going to spoon it around, spread it around on top. And I will admit, when I started mixing up the batter and it turned kind of brown, I was like, man, what did I think I messed up. I think I put some brown sugar or something in here. But then I remembered, no, it's the vanilla, you dodo bird. So that's why it's a little brown between that, and then I added the Snickers, so a little brown. I don't know what that noise was in the background. But I had my 3 dogs, and my brother and sister were walking around too while I was doing all this. Found something on the rim there. I wanted to get that off. Presentation matters with your food. Don't forget that. I'm not trying to get some of that topping off the spoon. And there's the cheesecake. Now, you do need to chill it. It says for at least 4 hours. I was so anxious and so wanting to eat it because I covered it up a little bit with some foil, loosely covered. I didn't tap it all the way down. I didn't even wait the 4 hours. I was like, I want this cheesecake. And this is his recipe, and this is his trick on getting that bottom of the Springform Pan off. He says, use a jar, sit it on top of the jar, and just push down. And I've done this so many times, never had a problem. I had a bit of a problem this time, and finally ended up getting it off, but I ended up smashing my hands a little bit, my right hand. See, it's coming apart. And it does help to put that Pan spray on there so that it'll release from the side. I said, because I'm making a YouTube video, the struggle is real. Wouldn't you know it? Now I'm getting worried. I'm like, this thing's going to slam on my hand. And it did. See? Wow. Shake my hand a little bit. Now I'm cutting it. And because I didn't wait, I usually wait 24 hours, but man, I wanted this cheesecake so bad because I've been wanting the cheesecake since Christmas it's been about 3 months. So I finally got around to making it. So you can see it's not quite set all the way, but it was so good. Oh my gosh, when I tell you that cheesecake was on point. My brother and sister loved it too. They want some more.
Oh my god. It's like eating Snickers ice cream. And the crust is good.
I was having a moment. Or two.
Oh my god.